Good afternoon and a warm welcome to NTA News Nationwide. Thanks for joining us. I am Ifoma Ojinta. President Muhammadu Buhari has transmitted to the House of Representatives the Finance Bill 2021 for consideration and passage. The exercise is in accordance with the provisions of the Sections 58 and 59 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. House Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila, while reading the presidential communication during plenary Thursday, says the Finance Bill 2021 seeks to support the implementation of the 2022 budget of economic growth and sustainability through reforms in taxation, customs and excise, and other fiscal provisions. The bill aims to prioritize critical public finance, in particular the coordination, administration and enforcement of tax reforms by the Federal Inland Revenue Service. Meanwhile, the House, in response to a motion from Representative Leke Abejide, passed a resolution to invite the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to brief relevant committees on the cost implication of direct primaries as provided in the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2021, recently submitted to the President for assent. 3 months after the death of one of Nigeria's former Deputy President of the Senate, Ibrahim Manto, the College of Former Presiding Officers of the Nigerian Senate has lost another colleague. Joseph Wayas, Ignatius Nkwo, tells us about the man who presided over the Second Republic Senate.
Born in 1941 in Basang, Obudu, Cross River State, South Nigeria, Joseph Wayas attended the Dennis Memorial Grammar School, Onitsha, Anambra State, the Higher Tottenham Technical College, London, West Bromwich College of Commerce, Science and Technology, Birmingham, and Aston University, Birmingham, United Kingdom. Between 1960 and 1969, he worked as head of several companies in the United Kingdom and Nigeria. Senator Wayas was a member of the Society of International Affairs at the Lincoln University, United States of America. Senator Wayas joined the federal government of Nigeria in 1969, becoming the Commissioner for Transport, Southeastern State, from 1972 to 1974. He was a member of the Constituent Assembly between 1974 and 1978. At the termination of military rule in 1979, he was elected into the Senate on the platform of the National Party of Nigeria and was appointed President of the Senate between 1979 and 1983.
So to speak. Again, this was the first time in Nigeria. Before now, we never had any legislature to which a woman would speak like that.
As Senate President, Joseph Wayas contributed to the strengthening of Nigeria's democratic institutions through his charismatic leadership of the Senate, a patriotic commitment he maintained even after retirement from active politics. He was the deputy chairman of the National Constitutional Conference Commission, which resulted in the 1994-1995 Constitutional Conference. Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Cross River State Governor, Professor Ben Ayade, has expressed his grief over the passing of the Second Republic Senate President, Dr. Joseph Wayas. He described the death of the late statesman as a monumental loss to Cross River State in particular and Nigeria as a whole. In a press statement, the governor said Dr. Wayas, as Senate President, contributed to the deepening of Nigeria's democratic ethics through his robust and vibrant leadership of the upper legislative chamber. He adds that since the retirement of Dr. Wayas from active politics, the former Senate President played a fatherly role in stabilizing the affairs of the states and the country. He condoles with the family, saying that the demise is a collective loss. Former Senate President Dr. Joseph Wayas died Tuesday in a London hospital. He was aged 80 years. The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has adjourned to 18th January 2022 the hearing of the 7 counts charge against the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. The presiding judge, Justice Binta Nyako, gave the order in Abuja. Dele Atumbi reports.
November 10, 2021, the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja adjourned hearing in the 7-count charge preferred against the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, to 19th and 20th January 2022. Dissatisfied by the purported long adjournment, counsel to Nnamdi Kanu brought an application before the court seeking an abridgment of time between November and December 2021. The application, which was meant to be heard at the resumed sitting this Thursday, was not moved as the court read out the quantum of cases pending before it between December 2021 and February 2022. The prosecution counsel Shuaib Lebaran told the court that the application for abridgment of time had been overtaken by events and therefore opposed it. On a passionate ground, counsel to the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, Ifeanyi Ejiofor, pleaded with the court for abridgment of time. Justice Binta Nyako adjourned the matter to 18th January 2022 for hearing on all pending applications in the matter, with the continuation of the case on the 19th and 20th January 2022, the earlier dates for the matter to be heard. Following an oral application by the defense counsel, Ifeanyi Ejiofor, Justice Nyako ordered the detaining authority to allow Kanu to practice his faith, change his clothes, and be given maximum possible comfort in a detention facility. The court equally turned down the hearing of the application challenging its jurisdiction to adjudicate over the 7-count charge preferred against Nnamdi Kanu due to his absence in court. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
Let's now join Michael in our Lagos Network Center for more reports on Nationwide. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Informa. Guinness Nigeria, in collaboration with the Federal Road Safety Corps FRSC, has launched an e-learning module tagged Wrong Side of the Road, an initiative targeted at checkmating road crashes caused by driving under the influence of alcohol. Kendi Adebisi has details.
A ditch. When I found out that the vehicle is, moving, it was like I was get to a ditch. I braked.
Olorunfemi Olorunmono is a civil servant who used to engage in the habit of drinking and driving. This act led to a ghastly motor accident that almost cost him his life.
You cannot marry alcohol and driving. The two doesn't go together. Let's just be. It's a matter of reality.
Stories like that of Olorunfemi led Guinness Nigeria, in collaboration with the Federal Road Safety Corps, to come up with ways of nibbing this ugly trend in the bud. Hence, the introduction of the e-learning model for drivers and intending drivers across the country.
So Guinness Nigeria, Beer Sector Group, we've been running these campaigns for some time now. It is us who produce the alcohol. It is us who know that alcohol used in moderation is good, is enjoyable. But we also know that alcohol used irresponsibly is harmful to the human health. Alcohol used and then you operate machinery can harm you. If you use alcohol and decide to drive, it can kill you.
Something that all Nigerians must embrace, not to be driving under the influence of drugs and alcohol, but it's a wonderful, sustained initiative by Guinness. And there is a joint collaboration, and I assure the public we sustain this, not only with Guinness, with the Beer Group and other agencies.
Campaigns such as this, according to key players, will increase the knowledge and implication of drunk driving. In Lagos, Kendi Adebisi, NTA News.
With a shift from digital, With a shift from traditional to digital media content consumption, debate on content management is getting stronger. Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed, who was represented at a 2-day conference on Nigerian digital content regulation, says over-the-top streaming has been on the government's lens. Hingnojan Adams reports that the event is organized by National Film and Video Censors Board.
This conference is aimed at mapping out effective ways of ensuring that the digital content space is sanitized.
No person shall carry out the business of distributing or exhibiting a film or video works unless he is a holder of a license granted by the board.
OTT service providers continue to deflect attempts by regulators to bring their services within regulatory purview, either by way of mandatory operational licenses or content management.
You have the power and influence on this matter. Please, let's start using it positively to favor this country.
With technological advancement offering more platforms for content delivery, it is projected that revenue from video on demand segment will hit a market volume of $868 million and annual growth rate of 22.9%.
But we're okay with regulation that is within the ambits of the law and that will promote creativity, that will promote growth.
As the conversation on ensuring a properly regulated Nigerian entertainment and creative industry continues, it is expected that in no distant time, the subsector will be a reference globally. In Lagos, Hengino John Adams, NTA News.
108 suspects arrested during the raid of Merchant Navy camp in Ogudu Sandfield area of Lagos on November 10, 2021 have made their first appearance at the Yaba Magistrate Court. The suspects were arraigned for allegedly operating a parallel security outfit not approved by the federal government. Amaka O has details.
The case was brought before the Chief Magistrate Administration of the Yaba Magistrate Court, Adeola Olatunbosun. The suspects, 108 in number, have been remanded in Ikoyi and Panti police stations for the past 3 weeks. The accused were arrested for the impersonation and extortion. Leader of the team, Sunday Dakare, is accused of sponsoring an illegal recruitment of a security outfit not approved by the federal government and the Nigerian Navy. Representatives of the Defense Council said the offense brought against the accused is bailable. The Chief Magistrate, Adeola Olatunbosun, later granted bail to 107 of the suspects to the tune of 100,000 naira each, with 2 verifiable sureties, while their leader, Sunday Dakare, is to pay 5 million naira bail fee, present 3 verifiable sureties with landed property in Lagos, while his international passport will be withheld by the court. Further hearing of the case have been adjourned to the 18th of January 2022. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
We now go on a short break, and when we return, Nationwide continues from our Just Network Center, where Felicia is standing by. Please stay.
His Royal Highness Alhaji Dr. Yahaya Abubakar, CFR, Etsunupe and Chairman, Niger State Council of Traditional Rulers, cordially invites the public to the turbaning of Honorable Seidu Musa Abdullahi, SMA, Deputy Chairman, House of Representatives, Committee on Finance, member representing Bida, Bako, and Kacha Federal Constituency, Niger State, as the first Gwarzon Nupe date, Saturday, 4th December 2021, time 10 a.m. Venue, Etsunupe's Palace, Wadata, Bida. The turbaning ceremony is under the chairmanship of Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, Speaker, Night Assembly, House of Representatives, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Special guest of honor is His Excellency Professor Yemi Osinbajo, Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Chief host, His Excellency Abubakar Sani Bello, Executive Governor, Niger State, and Chairman, North Central Governors Forum. Reception follows immediately at House 7, Resort Event Hall, GRA Bida. Dodo Al-Mustafa, announcer.
The Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19 cordially invites heads of federal government ministries, departments and agencies, state commissioners, heads of development agencies, heads of diplomatic missions, stakeholders from the private sector, members of the academia, civil society organizations, and other stakeholders in the fight against COVID-19 to the 2021 National Summit on COVID-19 with the theme, Pushing Through the Last Mile to End the Pandemic. Chief host, Mr. Boss Mustafa, Secretary to the Government of the Federation and the Chairman, Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19. Special guest of honor, His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, President, Commander-in-Chief, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Date, 6th to 7th December 2021. Venue, Muhammadu Buhari Conference Center at the National Intelligence Agency Complex at Sokoro, Abuja. Time, 9 a.m. daily. Announcer, Dr. Mukhtar Mohammed, Technical Head, Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19.
The President, the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Engineer Babagana Mohammed, FNSE, cordially invites all engineers and development stakeholders across the country to the 2021 Engineering Conference, Exhibition, and Annual General Meeting of the Society, scheduled to hold as follows. Date, Monday, 6th December to Friday, 10th December 2021. Venue, the International Conference Center, ICC, Abuja. Time, 9 a.m. daily. Conference theme, expansion of the energy mix for national economic growth. The opening ceremony will hold on Tuesday, 7th December 2021 with His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, as the special guest of honor. Muhammad Musa Bello, Honorable Minister, FCT, Chief Host. Honorable Ifani Ugwani, Executive Governor of Enugu State, host. It will be a convergence of ideas in engineering and other development fields to chart new frontiers for Nigeria's advancement. Do not miss it. For further details, please visit www.nse.org.ng. Announcer, Engineer Etido Inyan, FNSC, Chairman, Conference Planning Committee.
Southampton will look to bounce back from their thrashing at Anfield when they welcome the Seagulls to St Mary's this Saturday. It's Southampton versus Brighton and Hove Albion on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 3:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Baba Ijebu, empowered by Integral.
Nationwide, welcome to JOS. Second day into federal government's Operation Show Your COVID-19 Vaccination Evidence, federal civil servants in JOS are complying with government's directive. Caleb Gochin was at the Federal Secretariat, JOS.
Recent developments in the fight against COVID-19, especially with the new variant, necessitated the federal government to issue a directive for civil servants to show evidence of vaccination against the disease. This is the Federal Secretariat in Jos. It's expected that civil servants would come to their offices with evidence of either taking the full dose or at least showing some negative results of their recent tests.
I did yesterday.
Okay, the second dose or
the first dose came along with the card. Here, this is it.
I'm sure some people will be mandated to do it due to the checking.
We'll do our best to see that for those who have not done it, before the end of this week, they must have done it so that we can comply fully.
A visit to the vaccination point at the Plateau Specialist Hospital witnessed few people who came out for the exercise. We were, however, informed by the officer in charge that the decline is as a result of the positive response recorded earlier by residents.
Everything is moving well. Most of the times we get crowds of more than 50 to 100 people.
With the availability of the vaccine, it is expected that more people will avail themselves for the vaccination. In Jos, Caleb Gochin, NTA News.
A substantive Vice-Chancellor, University of Jos, Professor Tanko Ishaya, has assumed office after undergoing strict screening and selection, as well as obtaining highest score of the Senate of the University of Jos. Alisa Botukaye Andrew reports.
Professor Tanko Ishaya has an accomplished international academic track record of scholarship, research, and academic leadership. He is a professor in computer science with over 30 years of professional and academic experience. Installing and inaugurating the new VC and handing over of a Sigma of office, the former acting Vice-Chancellor, Professor Gray Ejikeme, says the University of Jos has over the years experienced skilled intellectuals that have taken it to where it is today. He believes with the leadership abilities and academic record of Professor Tanko, the citadel is set to achieve more.
I will pray you will never change. You continue to be humble. Have respect. Carry people along.
The new Vice Chancellor, Professor Tanko Ishaya, expressed gratitude for the opportunity to serve the institute, saying he will continue to create a safe and secure academic atmosphere, as well as improve funding and administration that will bring about academic excellence.
By the grace of God, we are going to work as management very closely with ASU to ensure that by the end of next week we have gone through that process. We need to put on our thinking hats with respect to what we can do different. And that's why I started with the concept of change.
Congratulatory messages came from representatives of University of Jos Senate members, the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of Council, Professor Atahiru Jega, and Chancellor Unijos, Haji Ahmed Nuhu, the Emir of Zaria. In Jos, Alisa Butukai, Andrew, NTA News.
Jos is done. Let's rejoin Ifoma in Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Thank you very much, Felicia. Nigeria has formally adopted the Global Compact on Refugees, which will define indicators for short and long-term progress that will improve the lives of refugees and their host communities. Haman Jabani reports that stakeholders welcomed the development for the good of humanity.
Global concept of refugees underpins relevant international human rights instructions, humanitarian law, refugee law, and including instrument for the protection of stateless persons. Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Borno State Governor, who were represented, the National Assembly and development partners see the adoption of the global concept on refugee in the country. It owes on government to provide displaced persons to develop self-reliance.
Going to make it possible in the National Assembly to work on it, to see that we do what is best for this country and what is good for the refugees.
It's our own desire to see that this document will start functioning very soon for the benefit of our affected population.
Nigeria is working assiduously to conclude the amendment of the Act to establish the National Commission for Refugee by 2022 to incorporate the protection of migrants and internally displaced persons under its mandate.
Committed to ensure that the pledges we made in 2018 are being actualized.
While many forcibly displaced persons around the world often struggle to exercise their basic rights and find themselves in a situation where pathways to a better future are hindered.
Federal government will engage state and local level actors as well as refugees and IDPs, operationalizing the country's global concept on refugees roadmap. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
December 2 marks the date of the adoption by the General Assembly of the United Nations Convention for the suppression of the traffic in persons and of the exploitation of the prostitution of others. In this report, Elizabeth Omori takes a look at the essence of the adoption of the UN General Assembly in 1949.
Though slavery was abolished centuries ago, some forms are still being practiced, with more than 40 million people in the world as victims. Modern slavery includes human trafficking, sexual exploitation, forced labor, and forced marriage by threats, coercion, or deception. Statistics by the United Nations show that over 150 million children are subject to child labor, accounting for 1 in 10 children around the world. Slavery in many parts of the world is as a result of different forms of discrimination against the most vulnerable groups in societies, based on caste, tribal affiliations, and ethnicities. The ILO, in November 2016, adopted a legally binding protocol aimed at strengthening worldwide efforts to remove the scourge of forced labor. This is theme, Ending Slavery's Legacy of Racism, a global imperative for justice, highlights the global movement to end injustice, whose roots lie in slave trade. The abolition of slavery identifies the importance of education about the history of transatlantic slave trade. It also acknowledges its impact on the modern world, an action to address its long-lasting effects. How can modern slavery be eliminated? That will be ideal on the interview segment of the news.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And to shed more light on the significance of the day, I have with me the President, Network Against Child Trafficking, Abuse and Labour, NACTAL. He is Abdul Ganiu Abubakar. Thanks for joining us on Nationwide.
Thanks for having me. Good evening, viewers.
Now, the International Labour Organization, the record shows that some 40 million people worldwide are victims of modern slavery. Where is Nigeria in this alarming number?
Thank you. Nigeria is very significant, and then of course Nigeria contributes to these global statistics for so many reasons. You will see Nigeria in terms of trafficking in persons and even smuggling of migrants. Nigeria is both a source, transit and destination country. That is to say, you recruit victims of all these ills from Nigeria. Others are recruited from other places to transit in Nigeria on their way to their destination. And then so many others are recruited from across the world and they end up in Nigeria where they are exploited. So Nigeria is central in the sense that it combines these three characteristics. And then of course, we are also aware that Nigeria contributes to the largest number of victims of trafficking from sub-Saharan Africa. So Nigeria is very strategic in the sense that we account for a large number of these statistics, and then of course we have different forms of vulnerabilities that predisposes our children, young men and women to these twin menace of trafficking in persons, smuggling of migrants, child abuse and exploitation, which are all forms of modern day slavery.
Okay. Now, despite massive campaigns and steps to end this modern slavery, we still hear of stories, horrific stories of people still being trafficked and forced labor. What concrete step can be taken, to check this?
Thank you. Let me say that all these phenomena are forms of transnational organized crimes. So they are not crimes that are limited to a particular community or society. They are transnational in nature because they happen in virtually all parts of the world. And the perpetrators of this criminality are in groups, very formidable groups, very large, and then they control a lot of resources. Trafficking in persons is a transnational organized crime and one of the largest criminal industries in the world with a lot of resources. And then as the world continues to experience different forms of vulnerability, including Nigeria, we are giving more room to these people who do not mean well for us, of course, to ply their trades. So much has been done by the world, by governments, including the government of Nigeria. But then I think more still needs to be done. We are not where we are supposed to be. So we need to re-strategize, go back to the drawing board. First of all, let's address the root causes, those factors that predisposes. Ordinarily, children are supposed to be in school. So what are those reasons why they are not in school? Poverty, some of our systems that are not working. Our young people, a lot of these young people who are trafficked or exploited into modern day slavery are educated, they have their certificates. So what happens? We need to also look back at our educational system to ensure that our educational system provides skills and knowledge, not just certificate based. And then of course we should have laws and legislations that are working, not just making laws, but that are working. How many people have been convicted of these acts to serve as deterrents to others?
Okay, now very quickly, tell us in what ways, have our traditional beliefs and customs promoted modern slavery?
Thank you. From across Nigeria, in the northern part of Nigeria, in western part of Nigeria, and eastern part of Nigeria, there are so much responsibilities placed on children. You see, in the northern part of Nigeria, the girl child is expected to contribute towards her marriage. So at an early stage, she is exposed to street hawking. And then if you go to southern part of Nigeria, you have quarries and factories. Children are also believed to contribute to the economic status of the family. Then we have instances where children are treated by all sorts of cultural practices as witches, as wizards and all that. And then all this further places the children at some level of vulnerability. And then our traditional beliefs have also weakened our social protection system, such that that social safety net that provides protection for children and young people before, where every child belongs to everyone, is no longer there. So this has exposed our family system, our children and
young people to all these forms of modern-day slavery.
Thank you very much, Abdul Ganiyu Abubakar, President, Network Against Child Trafficking, Abuse and Labor, NACTAL. It's been a pleasure having you on Nationwide.
Thank you for having me.
Ibadan is next, and Adebola is standing by.
Former welcome to Ibadan. Mixed feelings trailed recent directive of the federal government on mandatory COVID-19 vaccination of civil servants. Grace Ayonleke monitored the level of compliance at federal parastatals domiciled in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. The report.
Following the decision of the federal government to prevent workers yet to receive the COVID-19 vaccine or without proofs of negative COVID-19 tests from accessing government buildings and offices, federal establishments in Ibadan metropolis have taken to the order. A visit to the federal secretariat in Kolaba showed workers carrying out their duties with adherence to the various non-pharmaceutical measures in curbing the pandemic.
An appeal has gone to the government from several angles that there should be an extension. I'm also joining my voice to those voices that an extension should be given so that no staff will have an excuse.
At the NCA Ibadan premises, members of staff under scrutiny access the facility with proofs of COVID-19 vaccination.
Security men are the ones that have been put in place to ensure strict compliance. Well, for those who have not complied, we ask them to take PCR test and then come with the test results.
When I got to the gate, there were a lot of people standing outside that were not allowed into the premises. But because I had my card, I was allowed into the premises.
I took AstraZeneca jab, and I've presented my vaccination card to them.
With the recent discovery of the Omicron variant of the deadly virus, the mandatory vaccination for workers is a step in the right direction in ensuring the spread is nipped in the bud.
To enhance the readiness of the Nigerian army troop in fight against insurgency and other security challenges, the Nigerian army initiated a competitive training exercise amongst its combat platoon tagged Inter-Division Orienteering and Adventure Competition in Igbeti Town, Oyo State. Correspondent Lanre Bileyi tells us more.
It's the maiden edition of the competition in the army, which started off with oath taking of the participating platoons to abide by the rules of the exercise. In their charge to the participating platoons, the Chief of Army Staff represented and the General Officer commanding 2 divisions described the championship as part of various innovations to bring out the best in the troops.
I'm therefore delighted that the Department of Training and the Directorate of Army Physical Training have maintained the conceptualization of various innovations that has brought about the best in our troops.
The competition will further reposition us for the professional defeat of all adversaries.
The exercise started off with a 10-kilometer run with a 12.5 kg dead load. The training exercise will also doubles as a means of strengthening Operation Stillwater's security that was launched to clear criminal enclaves.
7 platoons will be taking part in this competition from Lagos, Kaduna, Port Harcourt, Ibadan, and Enugu, just to mention a few. From Igbeti Town in Oyo State, Lanre Bileyi, NTA News.
You're still watching Nationwide on the NTA. We shall be joining Abubakar in Maduguri after these messages.
It's another season of Carols.
Radio Nigeria, NTA, and Voice of Nigeria invite you to their annual service of 9 lessons and carols.
Theme: Peace, be still.
Come and enjoy the ministrations of Radio Nigeria, NTA, Voice of Nigeria, and other choirs.
The message will be given by the Most Reverend Dr. Ignatius Kaigama, Archbishop, Catholic Archdiocese of Abuja.
And lessons will be read by notable Nigerians.
Chairman, Mr. Boss Mustafa, Secretary to the Government of the Federation.
Special guest of honor, His Excellency Professor Yemi Osinbajo, Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Chief host, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, Minister of Information and Culture.
Host, Directors General of FRCN, NTA, and Voice of Nigeria.
Date, 5th of December 2021.
Venue, National Christian Center, Abuja.
Time, 3 p.m. prompt.
The program will be broadcast live on Radio Nigeria, NTA, and Voice of Nigeria,
including live streaming on Facebook.
For advert placement, call Rate on 0803-451-2261, Lillian on 0803-314-4383, or Bibiana on 0909-965-1270.
All COVID-19 protocols will be duly observed.
Radio Nigeria, NTA, and Voice of Nigeria Service of 9 Lessons and Carols 2021.
Come, let's celebrate the newborn king.
Are you an entrepreneur? Do you operate small businesses, sell, promote, or market product or equipment, rent, hire, produce, offer services in music, food, fashion, film, photography, painting, sculpture, play, drama, comedy, travel, and hospitality sector? Enjoy Nigeria Expo 2021 is here for you to showcase your product, services, and skills. Learn how to grow your business, connect with customers, network with frontline entrepreneurs in your sector across Nigeria. Enjoy Nigeria Expo is holding from December 6 to 12, 2021 at the Abuja International Trade and Convention Center, Kilometer 8, Umariyar Adwa Expressway, Airport Road, Abuja. For inquiry, call 009-114-3424, 009-643-0859. Enjoy Nigeria Expo 2021 is brought to you by Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture. Welcome to Nigeria Project and
Abuja Chambers of Commerce and Industry.
Enjoy Nigeria, future assured through cultural creativity.
Southampton will look to bounce back from their thrashing at Anfield when they welcome the Seagulls to St Mary's this Saturday. It's Southampton versus Brighton and Hove Albion on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 3:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Baba Ijebu, empowered by Integral.
Staying with us on Nationwide up to this moment. Let's move on now. As Borno State government makes concerted effort to close all IDP camps within Maiduguri, the state capital, in trying to resettle the IDPs in their ancestral homes and move others to the headquarters of their various local governments, humanitarian activists have continued to reach out to them with donations. Workers of Total Oil Upstream and other partners have donated food items in support of state government to resettle the internally displaced persons in their various communities. The report.
Representatives of the oil companies noted that the intervention is part of their corporate social responsibility across the Northeast region, saying they are targeting 457 households to benefit from the food distribution program, and praised Borno State government for standing firm on the issue of closure of IDPs camps, among other transformational initiatives.
Total is very committed in supporting IDPs and people of concern that have been affected.
According to the State Emergency Management Agency, 457 households from Gala, Kukawa and Baga who are taking refuge at Teachers Village IDPs camp are expected to benefit from the benevolence, and applauded Governor Babagana Umara for his efforts in restoring lasting peace to the state. Represented by Special Advisor to Governor Zulum on IDPs, Gadao Ali Mongunu, the Director General of State Emergency Management Agency, Yaba Okolo, said the intervention by the workers of the oil companies is coming at the right time, considering the announcement made by Borno State government to close all IDP camps in Maiduguri by the end of this year, while acknowledging previous support by the workers of Total Oil Upstream to IDPs in the state. Yaba Okolo explained that government is spending huge amount of money in addressing the pressing issues of IDPs, and called on other organizations to render more assistance to victims of insurgency, especially those that have already been resettled in their various communities, to make them have ease in starting a new life.
About 225 widows of Zabarmari community in Jere local government area of Borno State affected by insurgency have been empowered by wife of Borno State Governor Dr. Falmata Babagana Umara Zulum. This came up at an event commemorating 2021 16 days of activism against gender-based violence held in Maiduguri. Yagum Subukar completes the story.
Gender-based violence is an act of crime against women, girls, and boys that undermine their health and dignity, which are perpetrated physically or sexually, where the victims are denied access to resources, as well as services that may help lift them out of the cycle of violence. Wife of Borno State Governor Dr. Falmata Babagana Umaru Zulum admonished religious leaders to sensitize faithful on the need to guard against gender-based violence and commended Borno State House of Assembly for processing a law that will protect victims of gender-based violence in the state. Borno State Commissioner for Women Affairs Suere Gambo charged women to be more active now that the era of silence is over, adding that they must ensure that violence against persons comes to an end and also enroll their children in schools. Stakeholders drawn from different international NGOs, development partners, and civil society organizations appreciated wife of Borno State Governor for the partnership and commitment towards achieving set targets. As part of activities marking 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, Dr. Falmata Babagana Umaru Zulum also visited Yerwa Government Girls Secondary School on awareness campaign for students.
I would like to appeal to my dear daughters and the school management to form a GBV club, which will raise awareness about GBV prevention at an early age.
Theoretical performance featured on the need to abolish gender-based violence in the society. In Maiduguri, Yagum Subukar, NTA News.
You're on to Nationwide on Africa's window to the world, the NTA. It's now time to return to Ifoma in Abuja to bring us the next set of reports this evening. So, Ifoma.
Thank you, Abubakar. The 51st Annual Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria Conference has ended with the resolve to work with governments at all levels in monitoring economic activities while contributing professional skills to drive economic growth. Benny Adams reports.
With more than 5,000 participants, physical and virtual, 3 plenaries and 3 workshop sessions, the 51st Annual Accountants Conference has ended with the call for public interest to be at the heart of governance, just as the accountants here pledge to work with the CBN Monetary Policy Committee to monitor economic activities to drive economic growth.
Create an enabling environment for the private and informal sectors to thrive, while also revisiting the implementation of its local content policy.
It is time to change. Time is running out, and everyone needs to step up.
And for the government, deployment of technology to increase efficiency and increase revenue for government expenditure is key.
Using big data, analytics, and artificial intelligence technologies to support government in its revenue generation and cost-cutting efforts.
The conference resolved to work with government for effective budget implementation and management of resources, as well as contributing to deepening the nation's political process, in addition to holding public office holders accountable.
I encourage all of us to go back to our various organizations or private businesses with the determination to change the face of business and the Nigerian economy.
The parting word here for the participants is for them to continue to practice within the law, update their knowledge, and shun corrupt practices amid temptations. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, says concerted efforts and collaboration with relevant stakeholders across the different levels and sectors, especially the education sector, is key to achieving national security. The minister was speaking at a pre-convocation lecture during the 5th and 6th combined convocation ceremony of the Federal University of Dutsen Katsina State. He described the provision of security as the most valuable objective that a serious government must achieve for its people.
National security has great influence on education and sustainable development. In fact, national security is the most valuable objective that a serious government must achieve for its people. This, however, can best be achieved by making concerted efforts in collaboration with relevant stakeholders across the different levels and sectors, especially the educational sector.
A leader by excellence, and we are proud of you and your commitment to the university.
Earlier, Akpabio performed the groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of the Muhammadu Buhari Faculty of Law building at the permanent site of the institution. The minister later paid a courtesy visit on the Katsina State Governor Bello Masari, where both agreed on the need for Nigerians to be united for the nation's peace and development. Repositioning Africa's economic and political space, critical actors in security and intelligence have identified as necessary to build a progressive continent. This was at the graduation lecture of Executive Intelligence Management Course 14 of the National Intelligence Security Studies. Former President Goodluck Jonathan, who delivered a paper on repositioning the Nigerian economy for sustainable development, noted that sustainable development and security remain vehicles to safeguard human rights, strengthen fundamental capabilities, and safeguard long-term economies.
It's the foundation on which nations are built, which you know very well. It is the basic requirement of a state, established in all our constitutions, the primary objective of government. The attainment of reasonable security guarantees economic growth, sustainable development, and safeguard human rights and dignity.
Priorities of the federal government is the immediate and proper repositioning of the nation's economy.
Former President Jonathan has shown the world that Africa is very capable of practicing and sustaining democracy.
Speakers also emphasize on the need for participants to utilize the knowledge gained to foster international cooperation to manage complex security and economic situation confronting the African continent. 66 participants from Nigeria and other West African countries graduated. Nigerian ambassador to the Russian Federation, Professor Abdullahi Shehu, has presented letters of credence to President Vladimir Putin, marking the formal commencement of his duty tour in the Russian Federation. Ambassador Shehu expressed delight with the development of friendly relations between Nigeria and Russia, solicited the cooperation of his host government to succeed in his assignment. President Vladimir Putin expressed Russia's readiness to deepen the existing cordial relations between Nigeria and Russia in all fronts. On specific areas of bilateral cooperation with Nigeria, President Putin assured the Nigerian envoy of very promising expansion on substantive dialogue on topical issues related to maintaining stability in the world hydrocarbon markets, combating terrorism, and countering religious extremism. 19 other new envoys presented alongside Professor Abdullahi Shehu. The need for citizens to resonate confidence in the country, respect each other's tribe, religion, and traditions, as well as pursue justice, equity, and fairness to restore peace and unity in Nigeria has been re-emphasized. The President, Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, Malam Mukhtar Sirajo, was speaking at the Southeast Citizen Summit for National Integration, Peace, and Security. Chika Ugu has the details.
A country blessed with potentials yet underutilized, endowed with its diversity but not harnessed. Rather, ethnicity crisis, lack of trust and communication have taken the center stage. This summit by the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations seeks to fashion out strategies to foster mutual coexistence, unity and peace in the country.
We need to come together, speak with one voice, respect one another, agree amongst ourselves in a very civilized manner that this is the way we want to go.
This summit is designed, to my mind, to come up with new strategies and feasible working documents on ways to bridge these gaps, to bring the government and the people to a common understanding.
My position here is that we will not continue to preach despondence. We will not talk about recriminations. Let's talk about a
Trust for National Building, entrenching social justice, preparing youths for leadership, eschewing corruption, and above all, love for the country, were some of the resolutions and recommendations of the interactive session. In Enugu, Chika Ubu, NTA News.
Students from secondary schools across Abuja are being co-opted into the fight against gender-based violence as 16 days of activism continues. Catching them young is another strategy deployed by the National Center for Women Development to end the menace. Momso Damian Dati reports.
Government Secondary School Wuse comes alive with other students from various schools across the FCT. The need to sensitize children and teenagers, both boys and girls, increase awareness and knowledge gathering with the aim of curbing gender-based violence necessitated the gathering.
We don't want our men or our society to take the issue of tradition to put the woman behind. Allow the women to exhibit their potentials.
We cannot be talking about this thing, talking about policy. Let us take it around all the schools. Let's move around all the nation so that they will hear to themselves what is gender-based violence, how does it occur, the way they're supposed to dress, the way they need to address.
For the National Center for Women Development, this season every year counts in increasing public awareness and taking proactive steps at curbing sexual gender-based violence.
And this is trying to inform us on how we can stop it, on how we can make the world a better place. That's why we call it Paint the World Orange. We're going to paint the world orange by informing others. After this program, me personally, I will go home.
This program has helped in enlightening so many people about the negative effects of gender-based violence, both emotionally, mentally, and physically. You should treat ladies with respect.
Some people like me get more confidence to stand up for what they deserve. They are right.
For the Center for Women Development, this season every year counts in increasing public awareness and taking proactive steps in curbing gender-based violence. In Abuja, Momso Damian Dati, NTA News.
Let's now join Cynthia Ogun for sports updates.